Welcome to the module around continuous improvement tools for process improvements. Zooming out, in this module we're going to be talking about tools relevant to the improvement initiatives and the breakthrough projects, with the goal of eliminating and reducing process issues at a regional and/or global level. Some items we'll go through in this module are the project charter, our governance, tools for project identification, the role of a coach, and benefit tracking. Every larger project that we are doing follows the same steps. It starts at ideation, then once the idea has been submitted, there's going to be a quality assurance check before it's going to go into project prioritization. Once the project is prioritized and approved, it moves into project execution to then move into benefit tracking once the project has been completed. In this module, we'll be talking about a couple of concepts or tools associated with each of these items. Ideation will be talking about the role of the demand funnel and how to submit and write a project charter. In quality assurance, we'll be addressing how the CI coach will help you in your project. We skip the details under project prioritization, but rest assured, we will be using a governance where people will assess your project. Then, in the project execution, we're going to be talking about the role of project reporting and how to do this. Tools such as DMake, A3 Kaizen, the role of a storyboard, and the CI coach will be touched on in later modules. In conclusion, we're going to go into the various tools. First, Celonis, which is there to help us develop insights in how we execute our processes, and then Bluebook to get insights in our performance. Let's step into ideation. But what is ideation? Ideation is about describing an improvement opportunity by asking yourself some questions. Is there waste in my activity? Or what do my customers complain about? Alternative, what performance is not meeting our target? Or what are the things we can do smarter? Remember, we're looking at activities that are non-value added. Anything that is non-value added would be classified as a possible area where we want to make improvements. Earlier in your training, you've seen the improvement ideas coming from either Tim Woods, so transport, inventory, motion, waiting, over-processing, over-production, defects, rework, skills, or Eric, which was about eliminate, reduce, increase, and create. In our company, we have multiple sources available for you that can help you identify improvement ideas, such as customer satisfaction and feedback. We already have a standardized approach to sample our customers, and that is a source for good information around where do our customers see that we need to improve. We also talk about process mining and analytics. Later on, you will see tools like Celonis and Spotfire. Spotfire is the tool that can help you visualize data. The way we are visualizing our KPIs, we call that Bluebook. And also Excel is a tool that we can use to visualize how we are executing our processes and analyze where do we have issues. Next one is performance management. In the performance management, we're looking in Bluebook around what are our KPIs and measures and how well are we doing that. And of course, we can also look at best practices. Imagine this, that all of us are working on a laptop and just one of you is working on a typewriter. Why not use that as an improvement opportunity to either say, hey, that typewriter might be better, or why not use and switch over to laptops? So what do you do if you have an idea? Every larger project, remember the top ones, the improvement initiatives and breakthrough projects. For those, we ask you to write down a project charter, and we're going to talk you through how do we do this demand process. In the project types in GBS, we distinguish between the transitions and the improvement projects. We currently call them EPMO projects and continuous improvement projects. The demand funnel process captures the EPMO projects and the continuous improvement ones. A demand funnel process is about getting a lot of ideas, filtering out then the ones that should get a priority, or have the biggest priority. A demand funnel process is all about selecting from a wide range of ideas. What are the most relevant and most impactful project ideas that we then should focus on? The idea is that all these improvement initiatives and breakthrough projects are prioritized and tracked in our demand process, where after we submit our project charter, so basically our idea, we need to go through a project prioritization decision. The reason for this is that we probably have way more projects than resources that are able to drive them forward. So once we have the project prioritization decision, we then go into the project execution to then flow into the realization where we're going to track our actual benefits. The process from idea to an approved project will take a couple of steps, where step 1 is you creating a project charter. The second step is that your project coach will help you to validate the charter, assess if all information is in there, before it then gets sent to the decision board. The decision board will then check the priority and the strategic fit, and that assessment will result into an accepted project charter, a good to go project, or a rejection. The role of your coach is there to help you master your new skills. The way you are learning is that only 10% of your learning comes from formal training, 70% by doing it yourself, but 20% comes from coaching. And the role of your coach is to support newly trained people in mastering new skills, help you identify the best training level in case you need to go for CI training, or you continue your CI learning path. The coach can also be there to help you take away some of the barriers from progressing in your project. Remember, a project coach is there to help you, and it's very much recommended that you include your project coach during your project. Let's now look into the project charter and describing our project details. But first, what is a project charter? A project charter is a document that describes the reason for undertaking the project, the project objectives, its scope, and the first assessment on what are the benefit and return on investment. It is used for serving as a sales document for discussions with stakeholders and authorizing the project and allocating resources for the execution. The template of the project charter shown on this page highlights the various items required to fill out the project charter. We start with the project title. It's great to know also who wrote this charter, so we can actually go back to the person submitting it. We can ask questions, you name it. The project sponsor, who's the one that will help you drive and succeed in this project? And your project coach. That is your coach that we already mentioned about, will help you in your project. Then the problem statement. This is where we describe what is the problem. Then we're going to go into the goal statement. What will be the goal of this project? When is good? And then we're going to go into what is the impacted process, the scope, and the accountable organization, to then go into the cost and the benefits for the project. If we zoom in on the problem statement, how do we then write the best problem statement? Well, first of all, the purpose of a problem statement is describing what is going wrong, and that is related to the current state. And every problem statement knows 4 components, starting with what. Describe what the actual problem is, where the problem occurs, why. Describe why we want to solve the problem. So this is not why do we have the problem. So for instance, 20% of our invoices received cannot be automatically matched in our system, causing an impact on our overall process time, resulting in a late payment to our suppliers. Why is it then important that we solve it? Well, paying late can get a lot of additional work. We can get penalties, we get follow-up questions from our suppliers. So there's a whole hidden factory behind paying late. This is why we want to solve the problem. And when? Describe when the problem occurs. Let's take a look at some problem statement examples where I'd like to ask you to think about how would you improve this. Once you have an idea on how the improved version should look like, click to see an example of the improved version. Tips to creating a problem description. The problem should be based on observation, facts, and not on assumptions, guess. That's easier said than done, but the difference is that facts can actually be observed again, whereas a guess is something that your gut says. I think we have a problem here. The problem description should not include reasons. So the why do we have this problem? It should also not specify a solution, because if we already know the solution, why do we want to do a continuous improvement project? And your customer should support the efforts to solve the problem. This one is fundamental to us doing the right projects for the right reasons. Remember, value add is in the eyes of our customer, not in mine or your eyes, but again, in the eyes of the customer. Then we're going to go into the goal statement. How to write a goal statement. First of all, the purpose of the goal statement is a description of the expected future state. The goal should contain a verb like reduce, eliminate, control, increase, not contain a solution, and be very aware that this needs to be linked with your problem statement. Then make sure your goal statement is SMART. That means specific. What exactly do you want to achieve? It needs to be measurable. Identify exactly what it is you will see, hear, and feel when you reach your goal. It needs to be attainable. Can this goal ever be reached, or is it too much of a stretch? It needs to be relevant. Are we resolving the problem we have with this goal? And time-based. Do we describe when we want to achieve the goal? Let's take a look at a couple of goal statements. Obviously, the first ones will need some improvement. Think about how would you improve this goal statement? Thinking back at making it SMART. Once you have thought of how you would think the example might be better, click on the improved version to see an example. Then, benefits. How do we calculate? How do we estimate this? That's a common heard question. You're not going to get it right the first time. The reason why we have this investment and benefit estimation, which is quite off from what we're really going to achieve, is that we need to assess, is this a worthwhile project, yes or no? What are the benefits? If we can't name benefits, why would we want to do this project? Or how do we know the project was successful? That's where the investment and benefits part in the project charter comes in place. How to calculate the project benefit or impact? Well, first of all, the purpose of the benefit indication is to estimate the expected impact. When you're doing this the first couple of times, it is recommended to use your coach to help you describe the benefits and impact. Then we also distinguish between two benefit types. Hard savings, basically money we can touch. It's all savings that immediately result in money saved. Another one is soft savings. Those are savings where waste is removed, but spending stays the same. This is a common question. But what if we free up work? And how does that translate to benefits? Well, it is a hard saving if the employee is immediately removed from our payroll. So let's say we don't do overtime anymore, or we let go of a temporary resource. That's a hard saving. All other savings we do are soft savings. In GBS, we categorize our savings to 11 benefit types. Out of these 11, 3 are relevant for CI. On high level, the customer derived means money we give back to our customers. Internal, continuous improvement is about what we do within GBS. And the last item, give back time, is related to the time we give back to our businesses. The first two benefit types are customer derived and internal, continuous improvement. Each of these benefit types are split into 4 subcategories. They range from improved working capital to KPI improvements to operational cost avoidance. Please read through each of these definitions to get a feel of what these improvement types are about. The same goes with giving back time. Also, this one is branched off into 4 subcategory types with its definition. Now that we have gone through the benefit types, let's look at the project execution and the role of the project progress reporting. Now that we're in project execution mode, the expectations are that we are able to explain and showcase where we are in the progress on our project. The reason for this is that, first of all, we're invested in trying to understand what is the project doing, when is it going to be completed. But on top of that, we also would like to do a projection of the benefits and the timing of them to our stakeholders, both internal into GBS, but also external. That translates into the expectations to you. The 3 expectations is that the project lead is responsible for an up-to-date progress reporting that is done at least once per month, and that the formal reviews, so-called stage gates, are done before moving to the next project phase. The timing of these stage gates depends on your project approach. Project progress reporting is currently done in SharePoint, and we're in the middle of moving towards ServiceNow, which will replace this SharePoint towards the end of 2018. Once we are done with the project execution, we go into benefit tracking. We already talked about benefit tracking and the categories we have, but the one thing I'd like to share is that the benefit tracking towards the end of the project will be more specific than at the beginning. In the ideation, we might have a 50% deviation from the realized or the true benefits we can get, whereas towards the end of the project, we will have it around like a 10%. So that means we'll be updating our benefits throughout the project. Coming back to the benefits, again, we have soft savings and hard savings. Couple of examples. Soft savings, freed up capacity in the team or improvement of a business metric, whereas hard savings are FTE savings and only when people have left the organization, or true cost savings, so spending less money on travel or on third-party labor. All improvements are tracked for 12 months from the moment the first saving is expected to come in effect, and all benefits above €5,000 or 2 hours per week saved are to be tracked in the tracker. Now that we have talked about ideation, project execution and your expectations, and benefit tracking, it's time to go into a few tools that we are using in GBS. The first tool that we're going to explore is Celonis, followed by Bluebook. Celonis and process mining. What is it? Process mining is about using data from our systems to understand how we execute our processes. The tool we use for this is called Celonis. But of course, you can always use Excel if that is better fit for what you're trying to achieve. Process mining is about gaining transparency in how processes are executed, increasing process efficiencies, improving compliance, and driving profitability. How does Celonis work? First, it starts with pulling all the data from our systems, the so-called digital footprint from any of our system. Then we visualize these processes. And on the example here in the middle, you see like the thicker arrows, that's where the majority of the traffic goes through, and the thinner ones are deviations from that process. So the more deviations we have, the more opportunity we have to drive for compliance or operational excellence. We can also test the system usage and compliance and ongoing monitoring, meaning we can actually track how do our activities flow through the organization. See that as a track and trace of a package you've ordered through Amazon or your other favorite web store. You can do the track and trace from the moment you book it to the moment it's in sorting, then en route to being delivered. Or if you're not home, it's delivered to your neighbor. Then another tool I'd like to introduce to you is Bluebook. Bluebook, what is it? It's the name of our central tool used for our KPI reporting and dashboarding. Bluebook is about bringing clarity and transparency on our performance. It aims to create actionable insights for the business to support the operational performance of our processes and building a basis to further improve customer experience and operational excellence. In the next video, you're going to see briefly what Bluebook is about, how it looks like. If you ever want to know more, browse to the GBS reporting portal shown here in this link. In recap, by now you should know more about the process for generating project ideas, the role of the demand funnel and the project charter, the role of your CI coach, the expectations around project progress reporting, the benefit types we have and how to capture these, and we've talked about the process and performance analytical tools, Celonis and Bluebook. What is important to remember is that every project starts with writing down the idea and assessing its priority. So we ask you to use actively the project demand process and the project charter. project charter is then the document that describes the reason for doing this project, the objectives, the scope. Remember that we track our benefits and we have two types, soft savings and hard savings, where all benefits above our thresholds are to be tracked for 12 months from the moment of the first saving.